Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on the time where you're joining us from. I'm so glad you are here for the fourth session of Getting Started with Systematic Review, our practical course for 2005, session B on November 22nd, 2025. In this session, we are going to be looking at screening and selecting of studies, and we aim that by the time you leave this session, you have hands-on experience in using tools for screening studies and managing references. We have a very powerful facilitator who is no other person than Professor Reginald Quansah. Um, Before we continue with today's session, I just wanted to call to our attention some events that we are having in our calendar. We had the first session of Ask the Expert session as the Systematic Review Network, which happened on the 3rd of October 2025 and focused on the basis of systematic reviews. And we have part two of this Ask the Expert session, which is going to look at meta-analysis and interpretation as well as grade assessment. Please come ready with your questions and you can register beforehand. Other subsequent events for the year targeting understanding the basis of systematic review literature searching, building effective search strategies in key databases, and hands-on practice after everything lecture will be on the 5th, 12th, and 19th of next month of this year. All sessions will start from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. West African time. Please endeavor to register by the end of today. So, who is Prof. Reginald Quansah? He received his bachelor's degree in chemistry from the University of Cape Coast, I beg your pardon, and a master in industrial agronomics from Luleå University of Technology in Sweden. And he obtained his PhD in occupational epidemiology from the University of Birmingham in the UK. He has also served as a postdoctoral research fellow at the Center of Environmental and Respiratory Health Research at Oulu University in Finland. While there, he was involved in environmental epidemiology projects and led research in systematic reviews and meta-analysis. He joined the School of Public Health at the University of Ghana in 2014. There, he coordinated the master's program in occupational hygiene at the Department of Biological, Environmental, and Occupational Health Sciences. Later, he was appointed the coordinator of the master's in public health program. That was a sandwich track program. And he designed and coordinated an undergraduate and graduate program in the Environment and Public Health Department for the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology Institute of Waste Management and Sanitation. He has for the past 12 years, he has been involved in air pollution research in Africa, which involve several ongoing and completed projects. Today, he is going to be facilitating our session, and I urge all of us to take this session very important as it's very good for our practice and key for us completing our systematic reviews. Thank you so much, and over to you, Prof. Before I give the mic to Prof or pass over the mic to Prof, please, we will be taking your questions in the chat box so that we can have a smooth session and Prof can respond to them towards the end or at the end. Thank you and enjoy the session. Over to you, Prof.
Okay, thank you very much. So I didn't hear anything. I think I have an issue with my headset, but I think what. Okay, thank you very much. And good afternoon, good morning to all of you, depending on where you are joining us from. I think I've been introduced a bit. That should be enough. I'm Reginald, also professor in global health. I've been in this business for some time. I think February or October of every year, I teach with a colleague. Today, what we're going to discuss is just straightforward. We're going to look at how to screen and select papers for a systematic review. So this course is based on the fact develop a search strategy. And also, we also know how to develop inclusion and exclusion criteria, probably how to apply it. So whatever we've learned in previous classes or lessons is what we're going to apply here. Now, the objective is to try to understand the purpose of screening and systematic reviews. Able to distinguish between two basic screening one screening.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, Prof is having a little bit of challenge with his network. Can you just give us some time so we can resolve this, please? Thank you.
Sorry, that's small. Our internet are not very stable sometimes. So what is study screening? Study screening, the ultimate goal is to pick the right studies for your review. So how you need to find a way of picking. So one of the critical issues with systematic review meta-analysis is to combine oranges and apples. How do you make sure that you pick only apples? How do you make sure you pick only oranges? So the amount of, or the number of oranges mingling with the apples is very, very minimal. So that's the rationale behind screening, making sure that whatever you aim at retrieving is what you intend retrieving. So in other words, you want to make sure that you get the right questions or papers to address the research questions. So that's the main purpose of screening. One, screening is very key because it minimizes selection bias, which is very common with the traditional review and other forms of review. It also ensures transparency. Transparency and reproducibility is very critical in research. You have to make sure the work that you are reporting is very transparent, be reproduced by any other person. Yes, people need to have you trust your results. So once selection, minimizing selection bias is very key to that. So people can trust what is. So one of the things that confront smart meta-analysis is publication bias. When it's too much of it is present in your work, then people don't think your result is anything to go back in time, trace your work, the process. The person should be able to do that with ease. So selection, doing the right thing is very critical. It also helps minimize the volume. You can just imagine the number of hits that you get from your search strategy. So knowing what to search, the type of paper to include in your review is very critical. It helps you reduce the selection process. Now, there are two basic, as I said, there are two basic forms of selection. That is the quick check and also the deep check. The quick check is very important in that it helps you to eliminate about 80 to you by the time you finish the quick check, about 80 to 90% of the volume of hits you get are gone. So what you get is very, very something handy to start with. And one thing is what you need to set. Is this what I sent to you? Well, it has, I've done some modification. Rosalind, is this what I sent to you? Stage of the screening. What we do is similar to what we do at the second level screening. Now, the second level screening, we pay very particular attention to the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Yeah, although we apply the inclusion and exclusion criteria, we don't do a very thorough work with that. For example, one of the things we want to look out for and during first level screening is a type of population. For example, if your interest is in, let's say, children, you want to quickly find out whether the study is about children. Right? So these are things when you are doing the first level screening, one, you pay attention to population. Is the population mentioned in my inclusion criteria? Is it talked about here? So if it is not talked about, this is a very quick search. If it's not talked about in that paper, then it means you can include that paper, and quickly you take that paper from the equation. But if it does, then you include it. It moves to second level of selection or screening. One other thing which might also interest you is the outcome. Is the outcome being talked about here? For example, if your interest is in asthma, and sometimes in some abstract, most people don't talk about how asthma is defined. You know, asthma definition can be doctor diagnosed by a questionnaire and other means. If your interest is in, let's say, doctor diagnosed asthma, then the abstract may not provide that information for you. And so if I'm not too sure, you allow it to pass the first screening level. But if you find out in the abstract that, for example, you are interested in doctor diagnosed asthma, but the study uses the questionnaire to look at symptoms of asthma, that because the definition of the outcome are not the same, you can quickly just exclude that paper from at the first level of screening. But if no information is provided about a definition, then you allow it to pass then to the second level where you can do a very thorough evaluation to identify whether it's appropriate to include it or not. You can also, based on the screening, the first level screening, you can do a very quick screening on studies design. Assuming you have specific study design to address the questions. Let's say you're interested in cross-sectional studies, longitudinal studies, or just longitudinal studies. And if you're not getting information from the abstract, whether the design is longitudinal, then you just allow it for the second stage of screening. But if it's spelled out in the abstract that this study is a cross-sectional study, then because we're interested in follow-up studies, then definitely need to exclude all cross-sectional studies based on the abstract information that you get. Now, so you can use the population, the PICO statement, the concept, the population, intervention, exposure, outcome, comparator. Comparator might not be very important at this level. The outcome and the study design, if possible. You can use these 4 criteria. They may be very crucial at the first level of screening, provided you get that information to take a decision in the abstracts. If no information exists about them in the abstracts, then you allow it to go to the second stage. What is also very key in deciding whether a study qualifies for the first stage is the title. Is the title suitable? right? So title is it's something that you can easily make a decision on. For example, if we're looking at air pollution and asthma, and this study is looking at mold and asthma, definitely we are talking at two different exposures, then definitely you have to exclude. So you always have to consider the PICO state, the concept of PICO should be in your mind when you are doing the first level of screening. And that information can always be derived from the abstracts. If the abstract is not providing any useful information, then allow it to the second stage where a very detailed evaluation can be done on the state. But at least the title, the population, and some other petty information can easily be obtained from the abstracts. And so you can base your judgment as to whether the paper qualified to pass the first level or not, using that information, the information you obtain from the abstract. So it's very easy. The first level screening is very easy and quick. And the reason why we may exclude or include may depend on the PICO concept, the type of population, the type of outcome, the exposure or the intervention, or the state design. And as I said, I'm very emphatic on this. If you can't get any information in the abstract to make judgment about these concepts, just allow it to go to the next stage where you can get very detailed information to do some investigation. But of course, the other things you can easily help you to exclude, for example, editorials. You know, editorials you can't make any better use of editorial. Letters to the editor, and sometimes reviews. Reviews are not something that you might be useful unless you are doing, for example, meta-analysis and another meta-analysis. That one is possible. But at least at this level, we are assuming that you are using only primary studies. And so any secondary study in terms of meta-analysis can easily be getting rid of. And sometimes making decisions on not enough information is quite hasty at this level. Sometimes there are some studies that don't have abstracts. Don't make any decision yet. Just allow the state to go to the next stage, unless it's too obvious from the title. Then you can easily make decisions. So don't make decisions when you don't have enough data. You make decisions on information. If the information is not in the abstracts, it's not in the title, just don't make decisions. Allow the process to move to the second phase. I'm pretty sure I'm making some sense here. Now, the next stage is I gave out some work which the coordinator might have explained them to you. I've given out 5 assignments from published work. One is from arsenic paper, one is from air pollution paper, one is from mold and asthma paper. The other one is an occupational health study. And then there's another one, probably a follow-up study. And I have provided the search strategy that was used in the papers. So what I'm expecting you, at least and understand you are 10 or you have 10 groups. So I expect a pair of groups to stick to one question. So I'm expecting, for example, if it's a mold and asthma paper, this should be looked at by 2 groups, so we can compare the results from. So at least I'm sure at this stage, each group has his assignment or his trial question. Then below the trial question, you have the eligibility criteria, that's inclusion and exclusion. And this one will be for the second stage. But at this stage, if you have the search strategy and you have hit your search, then we can start you can find out if you understand the first level of screening. Rosie, should I say that they have their search, the output, the hits? Is it okay to assume that?
Yeah, we can assume that.
No, sorry.
Okay, so okay, do you have it? Sorry, do you have the hits, the output from the search strategy?
Yeah, that was their assignment in the last session, Prof.
Oh, okay, so they have, no, I just gave one to 4. I gave out 5.
Prof, sorry, we didn't get you on that.
Come again.
Sorry, can you repeat what you said?
I said I gave some questions to Fortune to share with the participants. I'm not too sure. Do they have it or have them?
Fortune, please, are you there?
Yeah, Prof, they have it. It's in their Google Doc.
Okay, so if they have it, and I think that it should be a group discussion, right? So what I want to do, if you have your hits, what I want you to do to restrict it to last, if you go to, I expect each of you to use PubMed.
Sorry, Prof. Let me interrupt you a little bit. We've not done the search for them, so they will do the search. They will plug it in PubMed and get the hits.
Okay, so can I do it? But we can pick one example. Would that be okay?
Sorry, come again.
Can we pick one question and look at it look at it together?
No problem.
Okay, so let me quickly do that here. Just a minute, I'm coming. Okay, please, do you see my screen? Do you see the assignments? Okay, let me see if
Prof, we can still see your slide. You have to share your entire
I have to share.
screen.
Okay, let me share that one. Okay, so this was a paper that was published in, I think, environmental perspective in 2015 or 17. Yeah, 2015. Now, we looked at the association between of arsenic with adverse pregnancy outcomes or infant mortality. We look at the global evidence on that, whether arsenic in drinking water or arsenic exposure during pregnancy is associated with adverse pregnancy outcomes or infant mortality. Now, this was a research strategy. So I'll repeat this in PubMed. I'll use advanced to do that. So you can all witness how to go about it. I'm going to use some few ones. So I'm going to move back to PubMed Advanced. So I'm going to share PubMed. Okay, so I'm using Advanced, PubMed Advanced. Do you all see that? You see, okay. And so the first thing is arsenic. Then I said, oh, sorry, the first one is arsenic. I'll push that into the query box. Then if we use mesh tab, we use mesh tab, a combination of at least once you're using advanced, it's okay. So advanced pulls out, addresses the free text search and the mesh term search. And then the next one is, let's say, birth outcomes. Then I'll use, I'm sure you know how to do this. I don't have to explain that. This is for the purpose of this discussion. And I may not do everything. That's for the purpose of discussion. We can all understand spontaneous abortion. Okay. Then the preterm delivery. Let me add the last one. Then we go over. We move on to our exercise, and then the low birth rates. I'm sure you know how low birth has different spellings. So if we should hit on the search, yes, we are getting quite a number, about 300. And so what you are doing is that we are restricting to this last 10 years. So this to the last 10 years. We are getting how many? Let me see. It's quite a lot. We are getting, so let's restrict to the last 5 years. I think last 10 years I'm getting a lot. At least something to help us understand how to do the first stage. Still quite many. 7, 9, 7, 3. That's fine. And so you can look at this quickly by title. If you look at this title, we are looking at arsenic and birth outcomes. This is obviously not important. Then maternal and fetal virus infection during pregnancy. If we're not too sure, some studies, but if arsenic is there, it's obvious you will see it. You see it here. You can just drop this one. Then the next one, not related by title. The next one, vaginal bleeding in pregnancy adverse. So this definitely is a review. We're not interested in this. Exposure to metal mixtures, and yes, this again is a review. We're not interested in this one as well. The influence, again, not relevant to our topic. I'm looking at the title quickly to exclude them. This one too, again, not relevant. But this one, possibly yes. Public water arsenic, and so we leave this one. Oh no, those ones are the ones we are going to check. Those ones we are interested in are the ones we are checking. Sorry. We are checking what those ones we are interested in. But you need to document everything. How many hits? You have to document it. 79733. You write it somewhere. Then the ones you are interested in, this one goes out. This one is not of interest to us. Okay. Low dose, this is more of occupational issues, meta-analysis, we are not interested. This one, smoke-free laws, not probably of interest to us. Yes, that's not of interest to us. Low birth paternity among Arab. So, but if we're not too sure, you can't rely completely on the title. But I was expecting that for a good title, you should have the exposure and the outcome. But let's assume that the authors didn't do the right thing. And we are not too sure about it, we can leave it. But if we're 100% sure that a title should have the exposure outcome, then if we're very sure, then you can leave this for now. But what I mean is that if we are not sure, you leave it. You only take it out when you are sure that this doesn't qualify for the first stage. Definitely based on a good title, this will not qualify. Then this one will not qualify. This one definitely will not qualify. This one wouldn't. Then the rural frontier residents with this, we are not too sure about it. Drug exposure, if we're not too sure, can leave it. Whether in some cases, arsenic can refer to, depend on if the person is, if the exposure is through tobacco smoke. Sometimes, yes, you can assume that somebody will be exposed to that. This definitely is not true. Safety issue, phthalates. Residential proximity to, yes, you can leave this one if you're not too sure. Impact of flood on pregnancy is a review. And so you keep on moving. You keep on moving. When you see something by title that you think it's of no interest to you, but that's quite a lot. So we can't go through everything. But that's what I was expecting you to do. So you quickly go through the title screening, and then I hope you are following. This, yes, it's possible this might be of interest. Yes, might be of interest. This on COVID-19. That one might not be of interest. So we go to the about 100, and we move on to the next stage. This might not be of interest because a review. This is also a review. A review. A review. The other thing you can do is also to eliminate all the reviews, so that it makes the work a bit easier. the maternal violence. Don't be too, at least this will help you to reduce the volume of hits. So it doesn't really matter if you skip. It's always good to skip. Allow some articles when you think they don't qualify, then just remove them. But by remove them, you don't get them back. But at least if you allow them in, you know they're going to do another stage of screening to ensure that they are properly evaluated. So see, a lot of the articles do not qualify. One, I'm sure, I'm not teaching how to develop a search strategy, but I'm sure you might know why. You may have to revise. If it's not very sensitive now, you may have to revise it. But I think most of the things we are getting is not relevant to the topic in question. Let's see if we can get one or two, then we end it there. Yes, this one. This I'm not too sure. We can leave it if you are a bit skeptical about whether or not to remove it. You can just allow it in. This one hits. Okay, this one it's a review. This on psychosocial factors. So we want to spend about 20 minutes on those exercise. Then we'll move to the next stage. Paternal age, yes, strictly paternal age. Okay, you may not be too sure about this. You can leave it. Okay, that's more of a mechanistic, but if you're not too sure, it's more of a mechanistic stuff. Anytime you are in doubt, just leave it. You only remove when you are, you don't have to include it. So you are close to 100, and so far we've gotten only about 2. We have some time, so let's go through it. Okay, this I think it's okay. This is okay. This one, no cognitive development, but we are not too sure. We can leave it. We are not too sure if it's a follow-up study. We're not too sure about this. For some, they can have a follow-up study where children are recruited at birth, or pregnant women are recruited during pregnancy, and the children are followed at a certain time, at 2 years. So it's possible we can get some pregnancy outcomes here, although it's not here. We can leave it if we're in doubt. Okay, adolescents, we can leave it. We don't know. But definitely, if the exposure is of interest, should be here. So definitely, the exposure is not important here. Yes, this out. There's a green space. This one asthma. This maternal asthma, again on asthma, those on air pollution. Then this one, okay, this one, this one. This one doesn't qualify. Sorry, I have a small girl disturbing me here. This one, air pollution. So we have about 10 minutes more to round up.
Saying at 10 minutes remain. God, I beg you. It started.
It seems you're not getting much, but at least the understanding is what I want you to follow this to get the understanding of the work. Going back, okay. So this exercise you expect it sometimes takes, although it's fast, it takes some time. And you have to be very vigilant that you pick the right information. Again, those are adverse birth outcomes in pregnant women with intellectual. Okay, this is quite specific. Okay, this one. Okay. Okay. Okay, we're not getting much, but at least I hope the understanding is there. So you go through this. You should also know that I didn't use all the search terms. So it means it's possible a snake, different does not of interest. We are still not, I think we are close to the bottom. So let's try and complete it quickly. Okay, we can leave this. We are not too sure if a snake is there because this is levels. I think that the interest in some studies of environmental tobacco smoke, arsenic has been reported. So we can also leave this. Oh, sorry. Yes, we can also leave this one. Okay. I think 200 and I think it's fine. So let's see what we have here. By abstracts. The internet is it's a bit slow on my end. Okay. So we have how many? We have two. So these are the one. No, we have about four. So we did initial. Okay, we have quite a. Oh, you should know that this include the articles that we were unable to complete. So at least once it brought all of them up. Now, so the first one is this one, public water, snake, and bed. And now, after the title screening, you now want to screen by abstract. So you go through it, inorganic assessment. Okay, so this one, possibly, this one, if you look at so here you can consider the PICO concept. Is the population being captured? If not, you still allow it to go. Is the state design being captured? Yes. If no, still allow it to go. Is the outcome being captured? Is the definition consistent to what we know of, what our definition? And then is the intervention or exposure is being captured? If it's no, you don't have to take a decision now, because for some people report, their reporting of abstract is not the best. So if we're in doubt, as I said, allow it to go to the second stage of screening. So this one, at least we can say that there's arsenic. Arsenic is being evaluated here, and then also pregnancy, birth outcomes are also being reported. So we can say this one definitely qualifies for the second stage of evaluation. Then the next one, low dose, and so this one definitely doesn't qualify. I think these ones are coming from the uncompleted title screening. And then we can also look at the cigarette thing. Is it talking of any arsenic? There are hospital deliveries here, but no, the outcomes are here, but the exposure is not being talked about here. As I said, if we're in doubt, just allow it to go to the next stage. If we're in doubt, because we know that cigarette smoke and tobacco smoke can also people can also be exposed to. As in depth, although we know that levels are very low compared to what we consume from drinking water, what we expose to the bigger environments. This one, no, because just you're looking at the correlation between low birth weight and preterm birth. So these are the ones probably. And so let's say these ones are the ones we couldn't complete. And so far, we have only 2 articles that qualifies for. We'll still have some more coming because we're unable to complete the exercise. So instead of this, I can, okay. Okay, I can reduce this to, let's say, 10. I imagine that the rest are not relevant. Okay, so we have 1, we have 10. I think we should have 10 here. Is that 10? Yes, we have 10. Most of that, as I said, most of them were from the other side, the ones we couldn't complete. So these are the articles that qualifies this first 2, this one and this one. No, there were 2, and the tobacco smoke. Wait, did I check that one as well? I think I did a mistake. Check that one. So let's say that this one, for example, is the one that qualifies. So if you do a complete search strategy, if you do a complete hit, you get, if it's 100, you get all 100 articles, or 50, you get all the 50 articles. So after the first title screening, let's say we get only 1 article was relevant. In most cases, you get more. Mind you, we didn't complete, we're not exhaustive on the search strategy. And then we also limited it to the last 5 years. So it's possible most of the articles were, but that's just only for exercise, for your understanding. And so let's assume that we had only 1 article that qualifies for the next stage. So it means we are done with the first stage of screening, the level 1 screening, which is very easy. Remember, we do a very quick search using the PICO concept, population, exposure, or intervention, no comparator, outcome, and the study design. we use these 4 concepts. So quickly, we don't do very thorough work here. We do just, it's a very, very quick one. But as I said, if we're not too sure, if the population, any of the concept is not identified in the abstracts, then allow it to go to the next stage. But a title screening, what we look for is a title of the paper. Is a title consistent to, not the title the same as the objective. Whether looking at the title, is it related to our objective of interest? Yes. So this is the end of the first level of screening. Very quick, but you need to do it should be done carefully, and you get a very good results. What do we do? Do we allow questions now, or we finish before?
I think we should
questions
finish
come.
before, because you have about 3 to 5 more minutes left, Prof. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Can you type the, because my mic is very bad. If let me see if I can see the comments. Okay. Yeah, if you say the systematic review filter, are you talking about filter on the left side? Should we go on and address the questions after the session, or we should go ahead and address them?
Please.
What do you think?
Prof, can you hear me? Can you
yes,
hear
I can
me?
hear you.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Please finalize with your session, and questions can come later, please.
Okay. So let's finish it up then.
Please.
But at least I want to next time be clear about whatever. I talking about the systematic review. If we say systematic review filter, are you talking about the filter in PubMed, or what filter are you talking about? The uninterested ones. When I say uninterested ones, then uninterested one, for example, if the titles are consistent with your objective, then obviously it's irrelevant. You have to exclude those ones. But if you go into the abstract you are looking for population, the concepts, the people concepts. Now, if you don't find population, doesn't mean that the study can be written off. Sometimes people don't report the abstract in the manner that we expect them to do, right? Sometimes detailed information are left out. Information that will help a systematic reviewer to make a decision are left out. So you can't, based on the PICO concept, to just exclude them. It's easier to exclude them based on title. So the title is similar to objective. The titles are consistent with objective. Now it's obviously relevant. But when it comes to the concept, application of the concept of the PICO concept, population, exposure, and so forth, if it's not too obvious, just allow it to pass. Because what you want to avoid is introducing self-introducing publication bias. That will result in increased selection bias. So what you want to minimize, selection bias. So if you're not too sure, allow it for the second stage. You only exclude them when you are certain that this does not meet the first level of exclusion. You don't include systematic reviews.
Excuse me, Prof. I'm not sure if you're sharing your slides or.
Oh, sorry. I was trying. Okay. Sorry. I was trying to. Okay. Now, yes, sorry. We don't include systematic reviews and in systematic reviews. We don't include them. But systematic review, the concentration is on primary studies or secondary data analysis. So you don't include systematic reviews. You can keep systematic reviews if the topic is similar to yours, because you may have to go to that reference list. But don't include them during the initial screening. Always make sure, if I did that, it's an oversight, but never include systematic reviews, editorials, letters, and conference proceedings. Because conference proceedings are difficult to obtain. You can't obtain the full text, and so you may introduce publication bias. So make sure you don't include these items. But again, if you are not sure, if we are using the PICO concepts to make a decision, if we're not sure whether population, what I mean is that if population is not in the abstract, that's not a guarantee enough to exclude it. That's what I mean. Anyway, if I added a review, then it's just a mistake. So you have to be very vigilant. Yeah. Yes, you have to screen all the 70 articles. Sometimes you run into more than 70s. You have to make sure you screen all the 70 articles. Mind you, if you remember during the presentation, the title and abstract screening will help you reduce about 85 to 90% of the volume of hits you obtain. So make sure you go through all the stages, which is very, very important.
Hi,
now,
Prof.
It's very rare to get, hello?
Yes, please.
Yeah,
let
me answer this last one, I'll continue. It's very rare to get only 2 papers. I'm sure when they took you through the search strategy, if you're not getting enough articles, it means your search terms are not sensitive enough. You need to always, before you start a search strategy, the proper one, you need to do a pilot, right? I'm sure you've been taken through this. So if during the pilot, you know whether the search terms are sensitive enough. So you have to do a lot of piloting before you arrive at a final search strategy you are going to use for this exercise. And so this is at the search strategies. If it's not sensitive enough, you get very, very few articles. Once you get few articles, you know that you are introducing selection bias, which will result in publication bias. So as I think you've been told already, make sure you do a lot of search strategy before you start this exercise. So thank you very much. So let's move straight to the second stage. So the second stage, it requires a very detailed evaluation. So what is expected of you? Make sure you obtain a complete paper, a full text or a full paper of all the remaining articles following the title and abstract screening. After the first screening, the second phase, which is very detailed, make sure you get full text of each of the articles. How do you get? There are several outlets that can help you. You can consult your library to get the full text. You can consult a friend in another library overseas. We have this Science Hub. We have other platforms that can help you also obtain full text. Sometimes you can write to authors to request for a full text. It takes some time, so always be patient. But it's very important that at this stage, before you start the process, you get full text of every single article that have passed the level 1 phase. By this time, you should have a complete eligibility criteria, a very eligibility criteria that you're going to apply to this study. You should have them, or should have it ready. And so I'm assuming that you know how to develop it, and you should have it before you start this exercise. What is also important in every systematic review, not at this stage, is documentation. You need to document everything. So for the first level screening, no matter how many hits did you get, how many were excluded, and how many remain. And most importantly, if you use multiple databases, how many did you obtain from each database? Unless you import all of them to a single platform. If you import them onto a single platform, even that, you still need to document it. How many hits did you get from this? How many hits did you get from some PubMed, Scopus, Embase, and so forth? You need to document all those information before if you need to export it into an app, you do the exportation. That's very, very important. And so documentation is very, and also you also have to rely on reference lists of systematic reviews or just reviews, and also the primary papers. You have to rely on reference lists of all these things. So every paper that you think is eligible, go to the reference list, circle them, and retrieve the full text and add it to this exercise. So that's very, very important. And this one, at this stage, by doing it carefully, you as much as possible reduce a lot of unnecessary articles that one might expect. Don't restrict your search to only English if you want to do a very exhaustive, because mind you, systematic review is using a global evidence to answer a question. And so, for example, if you decide to limit the search, the exercise to only studies published in the English language, what are you doing? You are introducing selection bias. So if you want to do a very good work, just be open, be flexible on other languages. So you should make provision for translation, whatever platforms you use, or if you can employ the service of an individual, that is also excellent. It's only when these alternatives are not available that you make a decision to rely on English language papers. It won't make sense if you include, let's say, French papers and leave Chinese papers. And so if you want to do that, include non-English publications, make sure you include all of them. And then if you seek to include other languages, get somebody to help you do the translation and back translation. The other thing that is also very important at this level is sometimes you get, let's assume that you are looking at childhood asthma, but you can get a particular paper publishing both childhood asthma and maternal asthma. What do you do with that? And so it has to be an answer to that. So what you can do is that you can extract the studies only on childhood asthma or pediatric asthma, and then the result for adult asthma, you leave it aside. So these are some of the challenges sometimes you meet in there. Mind you, during the screening, this is very, very important. Right? Remember, we are doing this exercise to reduce selection bias. So always the gold standard is that you should not be less than 2 people. The minimum is 2 people. Independently you do the first screening. Each of you do the first screening, and then you combine notes, you compare notes. So the first screening, each of you should do the first screening, then the second screening, then you compare notes. There should be no way that one single person completes a screening or a paper selection of studies. No single person should. If you indicate that in a paper, the reviewer or the editor will just throw it away. And why is this important? You reduce bias. You end up producing a very credible result, and you also ensure quality. Right? It's very, very important. Now, in some cases, when 2 people do it, and what are you using? You are using the inclusion exclusion. You are using the inclusion exclusion criteria. You have your eligibility criteria used to decide which paper qualifies. That a paper qualify on population. That a paper qualify on either intervention or exposure. That a paper qualify on the outcome. Does a paper qualify, for example, on study design? So these are the key criteria that you are using at this level. You are using the criteria to judge whether a paper qualifies or not. So this requires that you read the paper from the abstract to the reference. Each paper should be given a very in-depth attention. You have to give a lot of attention to each single paper. But at this stage, mind you, you are also extracting information. So we are not doing the data extraction, but the idea is that at this stage, you also have your data extraction form handy. So as you read, you extract the information that you think is important, then you move on. Now, you have more than 2 persons reading it. There may be disagreements. Somebody may decide that some journals are very difficult to understand, and it's quite obvious. For example, if we're interested in, let's say you are interested in your let's say asthma, your outcome definition and doctor diagnosed asthma. But there's a study that although did doctor diagnosed asthma and questionnaire using on symptoms, the doctor diagnosed asthma result was not reported. Everywhere in the method apart from the abstract, the method section explained everything nicely. But when we move into the results, there's no result for doctor diagnosed asthma. One reviewer will say, okay, I'm going to include it. Another reviewer will say, no, there's no result, so I'm not going to include it. So this may be some of the disagreements. Or sometimes the result for adults and children may be reported in the scripts. And the decision as to which result to pull for children or which result to pull for adults may be a matter of contention. And then again, you have to come to a compromise, which of the results. And sometimes if there are no numerical results, how to even sometimes, let's say you want odds ratio, but the paper is reporting on proportions. Then you have to convert the proportions to odds ratio. The question is, when you convert proportions to odds ratio, you're not controlling for confounders. But if your interest is to use the unbiased estimates, then the other person thinks that, okay, we can also use the bias estimates. You need to make a decision whether to use it or not, right? So you need a third person. So anytime there's disagreement between the 2 reviewers, they always have to call in somebody to arbitrate between them. It could be a supervisor or it could be another reviewer, right? You always need somebody so that the matter could be settled. It's not that the person who comes in and make a final verdict. You have to go through the papers together and reason together to decide, to reason why A is correct and B is not correct. So sometimes it's always good to consult somebody who is quite advanced in knowledge with respect to systematic review, who their supervisor to make a decision about that. Now, because there are 2 people extracting the information, there may be some level of agreement. You always have to compute the kappa, right? We are not going to teach kappa here. At least you can read about the computation of kappa from a systematic review. Now, if the kappa result is more than 0.80, you know that the agreement between the 2 is excellent. If it's between 0.6 and 0.8, it's not too bad. You can go ahead with the systematic review. But if it's below 0.60, that means you need to do what we call a recalibration. So it means you need to revisit the exercise, how the information was taken, how they were extracted. So you need to also interpretation of the results or any other data in the manuscript. So when the kappa square is 0.60, sometimes there will not be any disagreements. But when you did a kappa square, the kappa square is very low. It means something might have, no, sorry, sometimes maybe disagreement. The people may decide that they'll go ahead and do it. And then you compute the kappa square is 0.60. It means you need to revisit the papers and do another evaluation of the papers. But normally, Okay. Okay, let me try and please do remind me of my time as we move along so I can stick to the time. Okay. Okay. So when I'm sure by now, putting everything in context, the first level screening, I think we've explained what to do. The second level screening was a very detailed evaluation. That's where you apply your inclusion exclusion criteria. And exclusion inclusion criteria is based on the PICO concepts. So this time you need to read in deeply. You need to read the manuscript carefully. The two should read the manuscript carefully and then ensure that there's some level of agreement. If there's none, there should be some arbitration, and then you move on. So that's the. Come again.
Yes,
yeah,
please.
Please go ahead.
Please, can you finalize in 2 minutes, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
We've spoken about when there are multiple publications from the same study. When there are multiple, if you, for example, you get two papers on the same topic from the same authors, what you can do is you can treat them as well. Bring the papers together and extract the information from both papers. Sometimes it's assumed that the most recent data is the best. You can also rely on the most recent paper. So any of this, again, the two of you or together with an arbitrator can make decisions about this. And sometimes there'll be the need to also contact the reviewers. Give quite a lot of time, because it takes some time. Some people may not even respond at all, so it takes some time. So always give room. That's about 2 to 4, or at least 2 to 1 month. Language barrier should not always be an excuse. Make sure, have the intention, be intentional about language barrier. Initially, to start with, make sure you're going to use all the necessary platforms to translate your papers, especially the method section. And then, yes, the next thing is the level 2 exercise. So level 2, we have only one study anyway. So we are going to use that study alone. Because let's pick let me see if I can get the paper here. There's a full text here. So together we can, let's see if we can, I can get sorry. Okay. Okay, let's use the first one, and then I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Okay, so this is the paper. So first, you go through, because you've gone through the abstract already, you can quickly go through the abstract if you want. So what is key is the method section. But it's important to read the entire script from introduction to the reference list. So you go to especially what is key is the method section. You go to the method section to find out if the population of interest is there. If it's there, you take note, means this paper meets the population. Is there, then you go also to look at, again, the method section, to look at the exposure. Is the same exposure that you're also interested in? If yes, then it means the paper qualifies. If no, if it doesn't, for example, if we're looking at arsenic in drinking water, and this paper is looking at airborne arsenic, it means it doesn't qualify. But you state reason for excluding it. So all all studies that needs to be excluded should be stated. The reason for exclusion has to be written nicely. For if there are two people that doesn't meet the criteria on exposure, list them, and for each of them, state the reason for exclusion. If it's the outcome, the same thing. So you read the paper carefully. The results section, of course, you're not doing this with the extraction. So at this stage, the method section is very, very critical. So you use the method section to make decision on the population, intervention, exposure, outcome, and the state design. If they don't meet it, you state the reason, and that ends the stage 2 level of evaluation. Now, there are other method that has been, technology has made life a bit easier for us. Let me pick okay. Technology has made life a bit easier. There are several platforms that you can use those days. I think I've shared my screen. Yeah, I've shared it, yes. Okay, so there are several platforms. What we did initially was the manual work exercise. But we had the Covidence, we have the Stella SR and so forth. I'm told that you are familiar with the Covidence. So with the Covidence, I think Fortune will take us through quickly, about 5 minutes will take us through. What you do is that what you did initially is manual, just to give you an understanding of what the background understanding of how the technology does it. So you can import everything into, for example, Covidence. The Covidence, you have your inclusion criteria, everything in there. Covidence will do the level 1 screen and give you the information or the data. We'll do the level 2 screen and give you the information, because it has the screening tool there, and then it will give the final papers that actually qualifies. But you do want to take them through the what do you call it? The Covidence.
Yeah, okay, no problem, Prof.
Okay, so take them through. Then we see. Okay, so over. Okay, let me stop sharing. Okay, so over for Fortune.
Yeah, please, Prof, could you stop sharing your screen?
Sorry. Fortune, you can go ahead.
I think your screen is still showing.
Hi, Professor. Can you please stop sharing your screen so that Fortune can begin the Covidence presentation, please?
As continue.
Yes, you can stop sharing your screen first.
Okay.
Yes, Prof, please kindly stop sharing so that Fortune can take it from there.
I think I've stopped sharing now. Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay.
Right, please, I will need like 2 minutes. I'm experiencing some challenges with my Zoom. So, while I'm trying to set up my Zoom, can I please ask that you try to log in to Covidence if you've not already done that? Because it would be good if we're able to follow through the practice. So could you please let me know in the chat box how many persons have logged in or create a Covidence account? If you're not able to do that, no problem.
It's not. I'm not seeing it all.
Yeah, I'm going to share it. I just have a little issue with my Zoom, so I'm trying to sort it out. Just a minute. I'm just asking the chat box if anybody has been able to create a Covidence account. So Julia has just shared the link, so you can follow the link and create an account.
Okay, so probably can we, if it's not project, if you can project, can we say that? Oh, sorry. Okay. So can I continue? I think I'm almost done, I guess.
Okay, Prof, would you want to finish up while I'm still trying to set up my Zoom? Hello?
What are you talking to me?
Yes, please. I'm saying if you want to finish up.
Okay. I think that's the last bit. We are almost done. So there are those apart from there are other new technologies emerging. Machine learning and AI are making life even easier. What you need is to provide your search terms, or be sometimes even the research questions, and then these algorithms can complete the whole exercise for you. And so it's because we are still it's at the infancy stage, we can't completely rely on these technologies for now. But at least if you are an advanced, if you have an advanced knowledge in semantic geometry, it's fine, because if the algorithm can come up with any wrong stuff, you can easily you'll be able to identify it so easily. But for now, let's say we are not there yet, because those AI and machine learning of course, AI is quite evolving, and so we can't completely rely on it at this stage. And the other thing which is also very important is documentation. So after you have documented the exercise, your evaluation, then how to project it in Prisma. The guidelines requires that you develop a flowchart. So the flowchart, you need data. That's why it's important that at a stage of the exercise, you do a good and thorough documentation, so you can develop a nice Prisma diagram. Sometimes the Prisma diagram in itself, actually, it depicts the entire exercise. So it should not, if you do the wrong thing, the reviewer can easily hold your legs there, because they give a lot of attention to the flowcharts. So it's a flowchart that decides whether the author is a novice, a beginner, or has experience. So make sure the flow charts, you follow the guidelines. It's very simple. Once you have all your data, you have documented all your data, it's so easy completing the Prisma diagram. So make sure every stage of the screening exercise you document it, from the hits, from the number of databases and the number of hits you got from each databases, from title screening, what is remaining, and then you move to, after going to a second phase, that's the second level screening, all the documentations, every data or information you documented should be shown on the Prisma, it's very, very important. But it's been especially if we're doing a summary review meta-analysis, you have to show how many studies are involved, are you using for the systematic review, and how many studies are you using for the meta-analysis. Sometimes the number of studies for meta-analysis is less than the number of studies for systematic review, but in most cases, but sometimes they're the same. If every study that you identify for systematic review is also going into the meta-analysis. So documentation is very important and to help you develop a very nice flow diagram for those. And so I take home message, always be patient with the application. The first level application of the criteria and the second level application. Systematic review and meta-analysis, like any primary study, requires transparency in decision making. So make sure you are transparent in your reporting. Don't leave readers or reviewers, don't leave them in suspense. Don't allow them to suspect you. It's so easy to suspect you. It's so easy for people to assume that you did the wrong thing. So be transparent as much as possible. And documentation should be clear, very, very, very clear. So these are the few things, takeaways I want you to have in mind. Thank you very much. Over.
Okay, thank you very much, Prof.
So what do we go to the questions?
No, I think maybe we can do the covidence before we go to the
Come
questions.
again.
I think we can do the covidence before we go to the questions.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So let's see. Pardon me if I do the wrong thing. Means I didn't hear you. So
no, I'm saying if you can stop sharing your screen, we can do the covidence for
okay. Sorry.
10 minutes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay, I've done that. So the questions are, where do I, okay, sorry.
Okay. Please, can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. So, like Prof said, there are different softwares and platforms that makes the screening process seamless, and Covidence is one of those. In fact, over the years, I think Covidence has been the software platform that we endorse for our review teams because it's very seamless from the whole screening phase up to data extraction and quality assessment. It's very, I think, very fantastic for managing your systematic reviews. Although there are other very good options that we recommend, like Rayan, but we think that Covidence.
The questions, my speaker is very bad. So if
Okay. I think Rose will compile the questions and share with you. That's okay.
I don't. If you can project the questions, I can easily read when you ask them, because the speaker, I know what's happened. It's not coming out well.
Okay, no problem. So it's okay. So it's free for, I mean, if you're from an LMIC institution or country, you can request.
Okay.
You can request for a free account, and but anybody can have access to a trial version of Covidence, which allows you to screen like 500 references. But then, if you, of course, want to do more, you might want to request for an account from Covidence, and that's just by sending an email, and the process is very simple. Yeah, Covidence works for all fields. No discrimination, agriculture, social sciences, whatever field, education, it's for everybody. So I already have an account. I'm going to sign in. I used to forget the password. Let me just think this is. Okay. So I already have an account. It's very easy to set up an account. It's just a few questions that you be asked. And then that's it. You just get in. This is like how the Covidence interface looks like. And these are all the reviews I've worked on. So if you've not added any review to the account, it should probably be empty, and it will prompt you to start a new review. Okay, so some of these, if you see, some of these reviews are reviews I started by myself, and some of them are reviews that I was invited to contribute. And this is like the difference. This is how you know that these are the ones I was invited, and these are the ones that these are the ones I started, and these are the ones that I was invited. Okay, so let's say we want to start a new review. If you're setting up the Covidence account, you would be asked a few questions to verify or complete your registration, and those are very simple and seamless process. So I think that we'll be able to do that. So if you can be following up the process, that's fine. So I click on start a new review. I'm just going to use highlighter. So they usually ask you if you are creating a quick review, and it's no. So what should be my review name? I'll just say sorry. Practice, and then they'll ask you for review types: systematic review, scope review, rapid review. They'll say it's a systematic review, and the question type, whatever area of research, education. I don't have a free account, so I'm not sure this is not going to this is not going to work, because I have exhausted my free plan. I think you're entitled to one free plan for a year. I've not requested for anyone this year, so I can just do that later. So I'm just going to uh, pick on one of the reviews that we have done before. I think let me just pick on this one, and then we'll just run through for 5 minutes, hopefully. So if you've been given a free review and you want to start working, so this is how the interface looks like. It kind of highlights the key systematic review processes, from title, screening, full text, and so on and so forth. So I've already used this account, obviously, but let's say this was all empty, and I am starting from the beginning. So let's say you've exported articles from PubMed. I'm just going to do something quickly. Just let me see, HIV, Botegravir. So I'm just going to limit it to 1 year, because I just want very few articles, and I'm going to limit it to the ones that are free full text, and it's just 520. I'm going to limit it to randomized control trials. Let me see. I just want like 20. Okay, we have 32, so I should probably apply one more filter. I think I can work with this. Can work with this. You can actually add more filters here. Let me see. Let me use English. Still 32. Let's say each. Okay, 8. This is perfect. So let's say we have 8 results, and we want to export this and take to Covidence. So we click on save. And for Covidence, for PubMed, sorry, you have to export it in the PubMed format. for other databases, it's usually RIS format. I mean, if you don't export in this format, you might not be able to import it on Covidence. So Covidence accepts the PubMed format for PubMed. So you just create the file and it's downloaded. Then you go back to Covidence, then you click on import. So it will ask you what you want to do with what you're importing. You say you want to screen, and where is this coming from? This is coming from PubMed. You choose the file. So it's gonna be, yes, it's here. And then we click import. So sometimes if you're importing from multiple databases, Covidence will automatically help you remove the duplicates, and it will tell you how many duplicates it has removed. So you can see that from the previous reviews I've done, 66 duplicates were removed. So this is where you go to title and abstract screening. You see I have 8 studies. And like Prof said, you have to work at least 2 persons, because uh, one person screening introduces selection bias. So whatever you're screening, there should be another person that is screening the exact same thing. So for this account, it is not set like that. It's set for only one person. You can actually you can set this as you want. You can set for only one. Why is that so? Because for some rapid reviews, it's acceptable for one person to do the screening, so that you can, produce a result very fast. But for instance, standard systematic review, it has to be 2 persons. So I've already set this account to allow only one person to screen. So once I'm done screening, it will just move to full text. Otherwise, if it was set for 2 persons, then I cannot move to full text review without the other person's screening. So we're just going to do this very quickly because we have only 8 articles. So there are a couple of features here that are really interesting. So first thing I'm going to show us is you can add your eligibility criteria here. So it's kind of easy for you to pick in and pick out and know what should be included or not. So you click on add criteria. I don't want to do that now. You can also add highlights. I've already added this. So now what the highlight feature does is that you will tell Covidence, okay, these are some words that I'm interested in. And if you see these words, just highlight them for me. It makes it very easy for me to just know which ones, to work with and which ones to immediately exclude. So for me, the highlights I included was long-acting and cabotegravir. So even I included Kabla. So if I see long-acting cabotegravir, I know that study is likely to be included. So I can just click yes without necessarily reading through the entire title and entire abstract. So for this is almost a complete yes, depending. You might want to dig in more, like Prof presented, maybe the outcomes, the interventions, the population, and maybe the study design. It might not be of interest to you. But let's say it's of interest to us. Click yes. Now, the thing about the highlight feature is that you can also highlight those things that you're not interested in, and it's just going to flame it up with a red. So if you see the red, you know that, okay, this is not something that would be of interest to me. So let's say I need this, and let's say I don't need this, but looks like something I'll need. Let's say I don't need this. Let's say I'm not sure. I can click maybe, and that's going to go to the consensus tab, so that whatever the other person says, if it's a no, if it's a maybe, we can resolve it. Okay, what do I mean? If both of us click no, that article is automatically excluded. If both of us click yes, that article is automatically included. But if we have conflicting opinions, let's say I say yes and he say no, it is going to go into consensus. And maybe I said maybe and he said yes, it's also going to go into consensus. So let's say just no. Let's say no, it's just edit to go, so it should be done. Okay, so we're done. And it can tell you, okay, total, because I've used this account already, it's telling me I've already excluded 1,049 references. So it tells me how many is waiting for other reviewers. So remember that I'd said that I'd set this account to allow only one reviewer, and that's why it's just going without waiting for the other reviewer. Otherwise, it would not go into full text. You can see it's already in full text. I think I must have said something wrong. It has moved from full text right to data extraction. But don't worry, I'm going to sort that out. So once you're done with full text, it takes you down to data extraction. So let's say we've accepted to include all 8 studies, which I am not going to accept that. Let me just take one study back to full text so that we can see. So this is the data extraction, and we're not going to go to that today because this is all about screening. I'm just going to move this back, but then I have a video on this, and you can see how to do data extraction on everything with Covidence. So I just want to go back to the full text view. Okay, so I've brought one article back for full text. So I'll click continue. And then let's say sometimes Covidence gives you the full text article, like it uploads it for you. Sometimes you have to. Yeah, good question. Sometimes it automatically imports the full text for you, downloads and imports by itself. But sometimes you have to be able to source for it, like maybe using Sci-Hub or like Prof said, asking some colleagues and stuff like that. So once you do that, you can just import. But this one is probably imported by Covidence, but it showed that it was imported by one of my colleagues. But I think it's probably imported by. Okay. Oh yeah. This was imported by one of my colleagues because this is an article that we actually included in our review. So yeah, it's correct. So you can add a note. Maybe you want to tell your colleague that please have another look, whatever, so that when the person is screening, the person will just take note of that. And you can just include if you think it, maybe after going through the full text, you think it makes sense. But then you can exclude, but you have to select a reason, like Prof said, it could be wrong setting or whatever. And this reason is very important because some journals will be very interested in like your reasons for exclusion. So you click confirm, and that's just it. So this study has had a final decision made. Your vote was not recorded. This is because that particular study coincides with a study I have screened already. So that's why the whole thing is looking kind of messed up. Okay, and that's it. So I just want to quickly show us the settings in Covidence. You can get your Prisma from here. You can export everything you want to export, data extraction sheet and whatever you want to export. And you can get your Prisma flow diagram like Prof presented. But for the settings, this is where you can invite other reviewers. Okay, this is where you can decide how many people you need for the screening, if it's 1, if it's 2, and so on. And this is where you can invite other reviewers because you probably need to have other people in the team working with you. So this is my colleague who was part of this, who is part of this review. And this shows that I'm the owner of the review. And then you can set other things under team settings. You can see what each person has screened so far. You can see it shows I've screened over 1,074 and my colleague 713. So for the eligibility criteria, this is where you put the eligibility criteria and it really helps you. I didn't include it, but if I included it, you would have seen it during the screening. It's really, really helpful in doing the screening. So I guess that's it. Just check. This is just the basics. I'm going to share the video in case you have other questions. What if more than one reason, or is one enough? Well, if it's more than one reason, then there is an other option. You can manually type that out, the 2 reasons or 3 reasons that you have. But Covidence has some pre-prepared reasons based on, of course, popular opinions from maybe previous reviews. or you can add yours. And the interesting thing is that if you add yours, it sticks to that review, so you can always use it with other articles. Okay, so I think that is all for this. Of course, we share the video and you can go through and very open questions. Thank you. Ruth, over to you. I guess, or is there any question about this we can quickly take? Okay, I know that I was really fast, but because that's because of time. Yeah, but there's a video on this, so you can just go through a separate day to learn about. Okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem, Prof. I think that is all on my end, so I'll just stop sharing my screen. Over to you, Rose. Okay, we have a hand raise. I think can we take that?
Sure.
Yes, I just wanted to say that you were too fast, so I couldn't, because I was busy opening my own and for opening the database, so I couldn't follow.
Yeah, it's
Because
like
I was trying to follow with the site, with the Covidence site, and you were just too fast, so I couldn't get some of what you said. But thank God you said there is a recorded video of it. Probably I will look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, this was just like an enticer. So yeah, you can get the video and you can practice with the video. Let me just take this question. There's somebody that's speaking.
Okay. And now media.
Okay. So let me just take this question. Does that mean if I have more than... No. If you have more than 500 articles, you can request for a free Covidence account if you're from LMIC, and that takes a few hours to get. You just send them an email and they respond very quickly. Oh, okay, great.
Okay. Fortune. So go. Do we have group assignments? You can see we are 5 minutes to time, so I'm not sure which direction we are moving to.
Yeah, Rose, we can, because the teams have up to Thursday to submit, so we can allow them to maybe fix another day, work on it, and then submit by Thursday.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. So, thank you everyone, once again. Ngozi, I can see your hand is raised up, please.
Yes. Please, I will need an explanation on how the Prisma framework works. The Prisma.
I'm
Hello.
not sure if, first of all, I'm not sure if that question is for me or Prof. And secondly, I don't know if you mean the framework or the Prisma diagram. So I don't know if you can clarify that. This is a Prisma framework.
The Prisma framework, yes. Use the diagram. How do we use it in systematic review? Because I have always been seeing work that say that it is based on the Prisma framework. Then how does the Prisma framework work?
Prof, would you want to, Prof. Reginald, would you want to respond to that, or you want me to?
Okay, so thank you very much. You know, the Prisma guideline requires that we document, is that documentation of the process we went through. And so from the earliest part of the screening to the last, that's been the first and the second level screening. And so, for example, when you hit on your search strategy, let's say you are using Cochrane, Embase, and let's say Scopus. You need to document how many hits any of these databases. How many hits? Oh, okay, the question is not to me, sorry. Is the question to me?
Yes, Prof. The question is
Okay.
meant for you.
Okay. And so you have to document how many hits you got from each of the search from the database. Now, beyond the database, after getting them the database, what you did was to do the title and abstract screening. When you did the screening, how many did you take out? How many is left? So these are all documentations. So from database, you got X, Y, Z from each of the 3 databases. And then it also requires that how many was left after doing the title screening. You say you get, let's say, X1 after removing Y from all the databases combined. And then the next stage is, then you get the full text of X1. That's where you go into a second level of screening. So the full text of X1, then you apply the inclusion and exclusion criteria. So assuming that at X1, you apply the inclusion criteria, you move Y1. So all those things you document. So what is left is X1 minus Y1. So you move down to the time you get the actual number of articles you need for your exercise to answer the question. So Prisma requires that you report systematically how you conducted your screening, both the level 1 screening and level 2 screening. You document this one. It's a process. If it follows a flow chart, a flow chart is a process. So it follows a flow chart. It moves from top to down, showing that the exercise started at the top where you have huge numbers. Then as you trickle down to the bottom, you get low numbers. And so at least if you don't know it, at least you can try and have a look at how the flow chart looks like in any systematic review. And then I think it will help you to appreciate. I think some of these things you need the diagram itself. I don't have the diagram here, but I can pick a diagram from any of the papers assignment I gave to you, which of course time wouldn't allow that. So you have just try and look at any flow chart from any systematic review. And then you'll see that it starts with the highest numbers, and as you trickle down, the numbers reduce based on the application of the level 1, level 2 selection criteria. I'm not too sure if this answers the question.
Gazi, is your question well responded to?
I think
Prof, we are going to take 2 more questions, and that will be the end of today's session. The first question I can see, we are going to try as much as possible to respond to more questions in the subsequently, and we're going to send your questions collected to Prof, and he can respond, and we will share the feedback.
I think I lost you. I lost you if you can repeat the question.
The first question here is, does systematic review require proposals,
Yes,
just
go
like
ahead.
primary research?
For what? Sorry, I didn't get the question.
Does systematic reviews require proposals, just like primary research?
Okay. Yes. You need to develop a protocol that will guide the exercise. So normally that's the normal practice these days. And the advantage is that you can publish your protocol and at the same time publish the actual systematic review. And that
Okay.
serves as a guide.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. The last question for today is, can you distinguish or clarify between the first and the second level of screening? Prof, are you there? Can you distinguish between
Yeah, I'm there.
or clarify between level 1 and level 2 screening?
Okay. So the level 1 screening is just a quick step. You are screening on the basis of the inclusion exclusion criteria. Level 1 screening, you are doing two things. You are doing title screening, just look at the title and make a decision. The next level is the abstract screening. The abstract screening, you apply a little bit of the inclusion criteria. So you look at the people, the concept, population, intervention, exposure, outcome, and the state design. But you don't go into the fact that the population is not there, you don't make a decision. But what is clear, what you are doing here is to take out the obviously irrelevant ones, the obviously underlined. So if it's not too obvious, just leave it. By level 2, you need the actual reports, every single manuscript, full text of it, and apply the inclusion exclusion criteria in detail. So these are the two. The first one is very surface screening, where the obvious ones that are not relevant, you take them out. But the second phase, those ones that are really not important are the ones we take them out.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. I don't know if anyone from the Systematic Review Network will want to say something before I end today's session.
Yeah,
Hello,
Rose.
this is Julia. Go ahead, Fortune.
Yeah, go ahead, Julia. Go ahead.
Okay. Good day, everyone. I'm Julia Rebel, Programs Officer at SRN. I want to thank you so much for coming. And we normally do group activity during our sessions. Because this session was a little long, we would encourage you to go back and interact with your groups. You could either use Google Meet and so forth to discuss things, or use the WhatsApp chat group to discuss how you go about doing a group activity. The group activity is in your email concerning session 4 details. And if you still unclear on what you have to do for the group activity, please reach out to your SRN contact person or myself, Fortune or Rose, and we'll do our best to assist you. And if there's any other further questions, I'll be happy to answer it, or Fortune or Rose. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Fortune.
Thank you, Julia. So just to add to what you said, the activity is already on the Google Docs, so the instructions are in the email, but then the activity itself is in the Google Doc. So what the groups are expected to do is run the search. You can restrict it to 1 year, 5 year, depending, and then you screen the results, and you can choose to use Covidence for the screening. So you might want to keep the result from the search as small as possible, so that you can effectively screen it in record in the time that you have, and share the result with us still in the Google Doc. So by the end of Thursday, we're hoping that all teams should have submitted, and we should be able to grade them. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Over to you, Rose.
All right. Thank you, dear colleagues, and thank you, Prof, for making today's session worth it. I believe that participants have had enough information and different strategies that they can use in screening their articles in both level 1, level 2, including data extraction. I am very glad that you are the first group to have had these mixed methods strategy for screening. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to receiving your group work in latest Thursday, and that will enable us to grade you before the upcoming session, which is going to be the final one on the 29th. Also, please remember to register for the upcoming events. I mean the webinars and the expert sessions. Um, Before I forget as well, try to grade your colleagues. If you have been asked to grade a particular partner, please endeavor to do that within the specified timeline. And that will be all from me. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.